Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're making Salisbury steak with mushroom gravy over mashed potatoes. I've got ground beef in a glass bowl, and I'm starting with a sprinkle of Himalayan salt. Stay with me to the end for that gravy. Now I'm grinding black peppercorns right over the beef and mixing it in with a silicone spatula, since it folds the seasoning through the meat without packing the mixture down. Pepper going in at this early stage really matters because it seasons the beef from the inside out, which means every single bite tastes right instead of only the outside crust carrying all the flavor. I'm cracking an egg into the bowl and mixing it all the way through. The egg is what holds our patties together in the pan, because without it, the beef can crumble apart the very moment you try to flip it. And believe me, I've scraped enough broken patties off a hot skillet in my day to never ever skip this step again. Next, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and I stir it all in. This is the little bottle that gives Salisbury steak its deep, savory character, and just one spoonful of it carries more flavor than you would ever guess from its modest size, so don't leave it out. Now the breadcrumbs go in, and I mix everything together once more until they disappear into the meat. Breadcrumbs do quiet but very important work here, since they soak up the juices as the meat cooks and hold them right inside the patty, which is the whole difference between juicy and dry at the table. Time to get my hands in there. I'm giving the mixture a final mix by hand, since hands feel what a spatula never will, and shaping it all into flat patties. Do keep them on the flatter side, because thick ones puff up in the middle as they cook, while flat ones brown evenly all the way across. A skillet goes on the heat with a drizzle of olive oil, and we let it warm up properly before anything touches it, since meat only browns in a pan that's ready. Four patties go into the pan, and I'm covering them with a mesh splatter screen. That screen is a small thing I truly recommend to everyone, since it lets the steam escape so the meat browns instead of stewing in its own moisture, while keeping your stovetop from turning into a grease field. The patties will fry for about 15 minutes total. Meanwhile, a pot goes on the heat, and I'm filling it up with water for our potatoes while the patties work. A good spoonful of Himalayan salt goes into the water, and I give it a stir until it dissolves. Salting the water right now means the potatoes season all the way through as they boil, not just on the surface where the flavor sits and goes no deeper. Now I'm cutting the potatoes into chunks. Mashed potatoes were the very first dish my mother trusted me with, standing on a little stool at her elbow while she watched over the pot. So tell me in the comments, what was the first dish your mama let you make all on your own? I would truly love to read your memories down below. The potatoes go into the pot, and I cover it up with a lid. They'll boil away for about 20 minutes or so. Back to the skillet. I'm lifting the screen, flipping the patties over, and covering them once again. Just look at that deep brown crust on the first side. That color only happens when you leave the meat alone and let the pan quietly do its job. Because every time you poke and shuffle patties around out of impatience, you interrupt the browning and lose the very flavor you were working so hard for. The patties are done, so I'm lifting them out of the skillet and setting them aside for now. Don't you worry, they'll be back very soon. And all those browned bits left behind in the pan are pure gold for our gravy. A knob of butter goes into that same skillet, and I swirl it around the pan as it melts into all of those tasty drippings the patties so kindly left behind for us. While the butter works, I'm slicing an onion into half rings. Here's a little bit of kitchen wisdom for you. Onion cooked slowly in butter turns sweet and mellow because its harsh, raw bite fades away with gentle heat. And that sweetness then becomes the quiet backbone of the whole gravy, even though nobody sitting at the table will ever guess that it's there at all. The onion goes into the skillet, and I stir it through the melted butter. Just listen to that soft sizzle. That's the sound of a good gravy getting started. The vegetables will take about 10 minutes in the pan altogether, so there's truly no need to rush a single thing here. Just let them do their quiet work over steady heat. Now I'm slicing the mushrooms. If white mushrooms are all your store has, they're lovely here, and cremini work just as well with a slightly deeper flavor. My grandmother never once made this dish without mushrooms, since she always said the mushrooms are what make a gravy taste like Sunday dinner, and after all these years of cooking for my own family, I still think she was completely right. The mushrooms join the onion in the skillet, and I stir everything together well. They'll shrink down quite a bit as they cook, because mushrooms hold a surprising amount of water inside them, and once all that water cooks away, their flavor turns much deeper and far more concentrated in the pan. Now for the garlic, and I'm grating it on the fine side of the grater. Yes, that's quite a generous pile, and this dish deserves every last bit of it. Grated garlic disappears into the gravy completely, which is exactly what we want here, since chopped pieces would stay behind as sharp little chunks, while these fine shreds simply melt in and flavor every single spoonful of the finished sauce evenly. The garlic goes into the skillet and I stir it through the vegetables. The moment that smell rises up from the pan is exactly when my family starts drifting in and asking me how much longer it will be until dinner is finally ready. A sprinkle of Himalayan salt goes right over all of the vegetables working away in the pan. And then some freshly ground black pepper goes over them too. Straight from the whole peppercorns, as always. Now half a teaspoon of dried rosemary, and I stir it in through everything. Rosemary and beef are old friends in the kitchen, and just this small amount perfumes the entire pan of gravy without ever once taking it over. The tomato paste goes in next, and I stir it through the vegetables. Don't just dump it in and move along. Let it cook down in the pan for a good minute or so, because heat takes away its raw, tinny taste and brings out a deeper, sweeter side that makes the gravy taste like it's simmered away on the stove all day long. Now a tablespoon of flour, and I stir it in until it coats everything in the pan. This is what will thicken our gravy, and mixing it with the fat right now is the whole secret of the thing, since flour added straight into liquid later would seize up into stubborn lumps, but flour cooked into the butter first dissolves like a dream every time. In goes a third of a cup of red wine, and I keep on stirring while it bubbles away in the pan. The wine lifts all those brown bits up off the bottom of the pan and carries them into the sauce, and that right there is flavor money simply can't buy. Now a cup of beef broth goes in, and I keep stirring as the gravy comes together right before my eyes. Watch how it thickens into something glossy that coats the back of a spoon so nicely. That's the flour doing its quiet work in there, and from this point on, the gravy only gets better with every single minute it spends simmering away. The patties go back into the skillet, nestled right down into that gravy, and I spoon it generously over the top of each one. They'll finish here for a few more minutes, drinking in all of that mushroom and onion flavor, which is exactly what makes Salisbury steak taste like Salisbury steak instead of a plain hamburger patty and sauce. The potatoes are done at last, so they go straight into the potato ricer while they're still nice and hot. I'm pressing the potatoes through into a glass bowl, and honestly, a good ricer gives you the fluffiest mash there is, because it breaks the potato into fine strands that fall apart on the fork like fresh snow, instead of beating it into heavy glue the way hard mashing so often can do. A sprinkle of Himalayan salt goes right over the warm riced potatoes in the bowl. And then some freshly ground black pepper as well, just enough to warm the flavor up. Now I'm chopping fresh dill nice and fine, and it goes straight into the mashed potatoes. Dill might surprise you here if you grew up on plain mash like most of us did, but it lifts the potatoes with a fresh green note. And once you've tried it this way, plain never quite feels finished again. In goes a third of a cup of milk, and I mix the potatoes until they turn completely smooth and creamy. Warm milk blends in far easier than cold, since cold milk cools the potatoes right down and makes you work twice as hard for the same soft texture. So do give it a few quick seconds on the stove beforehand. On the plate, I'm shaping the mashed potatoes into a little plateau with a well in the middle, ready to catch every drop of gravy. Now the skillet comes over, and 2 patties go right on top of the potatoes with plenty of gravy spooned over. Just look at this plate for a moment. Glossy gravy running down into the soft mash, mushrooms tucked all around the beef, pure comfort served warm. And now the first bite. The patty is juicy, the gravy is rich and deep, and the dill mash ties it all together. Subscribe and hit like if you'd cook this, and I'll see you next time.